Master Sirio has always come here to serve his master, Sant Kirpal Singh, and also Santa Jaip Singh. I have never seen a love like Master Sirio's for his masters, never. And if we manage to catch just a fraction of that love and let it flow through us, it will transform everyone's life. So there is nothing more I could wish for everyone here today. And welcome, because this is truly a joyous occasion. I will leave Dory to explain some more. I hope you get a lot and a lot of riches from this afternoon here.
Thank you. So I also would like to welcome everyone. My name is Dory. If you sent an email, then this was me to reply you. So I'm very happy that you eventually made it to come. And Vilma spoke so beautifully, which is difficult to add anything else further. And I can just express my agreeing with all the words of Vilma. That was very heartfelt and very sincere. And I can say from my own experience that there is always a first time, and maybe for many of you it's the first time to meet a real spiritual master who is a realized being. And for me it was really something that transformed my life. Something that in the beginning I didn't understand so much, that I also met First Master Sirio at a similar event like this that was organized in another city. And that what I received there was something very precious for my own life, I can say, that transformed me to be a better being, more conscious, more awakened, and maybe trying to live my life in a better way. And the only thing that I can advise you, that just open your hearts, and that love of which Vilma was speaking, just let it enter your heart, because it's a selfless act of love what is offered to you this afternoon, this evening, because nobody is expecting anything from you, nobody wants to convince you of anything. It's something that is offered to you, a chance that can be very precious for you if you make good use of it. It all depends on you. So just, as I said, open your hearts. And another advice of mine, if I might give you, that as they also say that the eyes are the windows of the soul, and all the knowledge, all the human knowledge, 2/3 of it goes through the words. 1/3 goes through the words, but 2/3, which is invisible, which is beyond any words and beyond any expression, goes through the eyes. So you can experience such things this evening which maybe you have never experienced in your life, or if you had similar experience already, then you have a person who manifests it and can reply to all your questions. So I just wish you a beautiful experience this evening, and just look into the eyes of Master Sirio, because it's really selfless love as maybe you have never experienced in your lives. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for Master Sirio to share his time and knowledge and wisdom and experience with all of us.
So good evening, everyone. See, anything we do in life, it depends on the attitude by which we do it. Whether it becomes something meaningful, something that gives us pleasure, conveys us something, or nothing. Not just a meeting like this, but anything we do in life. So, we are here this evening to spend some time together. Whether we wanted it or not, whether we choose it or not, whether it just happened. Anyway, we are here. We are going to spend some time together. Let's make it an intense, well-conscious, aware something. We can say life is banal, it's meaningless, or we can say life is full of meaning. It depends on us. Also, this meeting may be meaningless, or maybe very meaningful. It depends on us. So let's just be well concentrated, attentive, and dive into whatever is happening. We should be aware that the most precious moment in life, the most important thing we may do, is what we are doing right now. There is nothing more important than what we are doing just now, and should be for always. Any moment is the most precious, if we do it with all of our being, with all of our attention. So if we say our life is meaningless, no purpose, means we have no meaning, we have no purpose. Life is everything. Life contains anything any human being may aspire for. But how much do we get from it? How much do we make our own out of it? That depends on us. It's like the universe is very vast, very huge. How much do we know about the universe? Very little, really. So is life in general. Life can be an incredible experience, or it can be just no value experience. It depends on what we do. It depends on how we relate to life. So be attentive. Be well concentrated. Be present. You can say this is the most precious moment in the whole of existence, if you take it like this. So anyway, you know, a spiritual life is made of spiritual practice. And in order to come to know what lies beyond what's just physical, mental, or sensory, we need to go beyond what is physical, mental, and sensory. And this you mostly do through a spiritual practice. It's not by reading books. It's not even by listening to words or talks. It's something that's deep inside of us. It's deep inside of existence. So we get there by doing some kind of spiritual practice. that transcends body, sensory perception, and mind. So my method is very much through singing. The path I follow, the spiritual path I follow, includes singing of holy songs, meditation, so the singing of songs very much contributes to create a conductive atmosphere for developing our receptivity. You see, this space in which we are is full of energy. We can say it's full of electricity also. It's full of so many things which we don't perceive. In order to perceive something, you need to develop receptivity. So the singing of holy songs is a very good way to develop this receptivity. Then once your, let's say your spiritual body, it's open up, activated, then you can tune in with this energy and go very deep into meditation. So to begin with, I'm going to sing a few songs. You try to listen with all of your attention. Just let the melody go deep into you. Enjoy it. And then we'll go on. You see, my story is a very long story with India. I've been in India 35 times in my life, always attending meditation retreats and doing a lot of spiritual practice. So what I'm talking to you is not something I've read in books or heard from somebody. It's something which I've practiced for 52 years of my life. My story began when I was 20 years old. Now I am 73. So it's something that I know very well because I've done it for most of my life. And I know very well how this dynamic works. So be attentive, follow, and maybe you will feel, by the end of this meeting, you feel very good. So the songs I'm going to sing, they are in Indian language. They are mostly in Punjabi language. Songs I sing mostly are in Punjabi, or they might be in Hindi, some in Urdu. And then also I sing some in Italian. I've written a lot of songs in Italian myself, in English. In my retreats, there is a lot of this singing. And since it's really a pleasure for me, and it's very inspiring for me, it's a practice which is very intense and very well done. Saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki tere chint saze 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 simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chit pure guru ka sune upades pure guru ka sune upades para brahmani katkare pek para brahmani katkare pek saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint asanit tiagotarang asanit tiagotarang sante janaki durmane mang sante janaki durmane mang saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint appe chore benti karo appe chore benti karo sad sange agan sagare taro sade sange agan sagare taro saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint ardam ke bare leo bandar ardam ke bare leo bandar nanak guru pure namaskar nanak guru pure namaskar saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint saze saze simro gobind mane antara ki yutere chint mane antara ki yutere chint The refrain of this song says, remember Govind, or say God, with every your breath, so that the anxieties of your mind may go away. So that's how it goes. Either we take control over our thoughts, over our attention, and move it the way we want, the direction we want. We become the master of it, or the mind, the thoughts, the anxieties, the worries, memories, fantasies take control over our hearts, and they lead us where they want. So the point is here. Be the master of yourself. Don't let your emotion, your thoughts, your fantasies, your memories lead you wherever they want. You lead them. You lead your attention where you want. Then you're free. Otherwise, you're a slave of yourself. So now comes another song. Savan kabiao, 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 हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, सावन काबियाओ, 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 सावन काबियाओ, 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 हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, तुम पास नहीं कोने सुने मेरी कहानी, तुम पास नहीं कोने सुने मेरी कहानी, सावन काबियाओ तो सुनो मेरी जबानी, सावन काबियाओ तो सुनो मेरी जबानी, मैं तेरे सिवा किसको कहूँ ये तो बताओ, मैं तेरे सिवा किसको कहूँ ये तो बताओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, सावन काबियाओ, 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 सावन काबियाओ, 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 हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, जो बानी पे जवानी है और चदनी रथीन, जो बानी पे जवानी है और चदनी रथीन, तुम भूल गए सवां क्यों प्यारे की बतन, तुम भूल गए सवां क्यों प्यारे की बतिन, जब प्रीत लगाया है तो अब तोरे निभाओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, हुजरी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, सावन काबियाओ, काबियाओ, दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, उजड़ी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ। आंखों ने तेरी याद में सो आश्क बहाए, आंखों ने तेरी याद में सो आश्क बहाए, आंखों ने मेरे सीने में तूफान उठाए, आंखों ने मेरे सीने में तूफान उठाए। मैं तेरे सिवा किसको कहूँ ये तो बताओ, सावन कभी आओ, कभी आओ, कभी आओ, सावन कभी आओ, कभी आओ, कभी आओ, सावन कभी आओ, कभी आओ, कभी आओ, उजड़ी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, उजड़ी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, सावन कभी आओ, कभी आओ, कभी आओ, सावन कभी आओ, कभी आओ, कभी आओ, उजड़ी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, उजड़ी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ, उजड़ी हुई दुनिया को मेरी आके बसाओ। I will sing some few more, and then I will talk to you about what has been my experience in my life, how I came into this path, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what took me to this. So this is another beautiful song again in Punjabi, and it's by Kabir Sahib, a great Indian mystic. It's Guru Saman Nahi Data Jag Mein. That means there is the honor equal to the Guru in this world. He gives you what it seems visible. जग में गुरु समान नाई दाता, जग में गुरु समान नाई दाता, जग में गुरु समान नाई दाता, वस्तु अगोचर दे सतगुरु ने, वस्तु अगोचर दे सतगुरु ने, बलि बताई बता, जग में गुरु समान नाई दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, काम क्रोध कैद कर राखे, काम क्रोध कैद कर राखे, लोभ कोलिनो नाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, काम क्रोध कैद कर राखे, काम क्रोध कैद कर राखे, लोभ कोलिनो नाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, काल करे सवाल कर ले, काल करे सवाल कर ले, फिर न मिले साथा, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, शब्द पुकार पुकार कहते, शब्द पुकार पुकार कहते, कर ले संतान साथा, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, सुमारे बंदगी कार साहेब की, सुमारे बंदगी कार साहेब की, कल निभाए माता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, काय कबीर सुनो ए दरमन, काय कबीर सुनो ए दरमन, मानो बचाने हमारा, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, पर्दा खोल मिलो सतगुरु से, पर्दा खोल मिलो सतगुरु से, आओ लोग के दियारा, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता, जग में गुरु समान नहीं दाता। So, Guru Saman Nahidat. There is no donor equal to the Guru. The Guru gives you what's invisible. So we are always confined through our eyes to what we see. And mostly it's what we see. We see this world, these objects which are around us. We see this body of ours, our face of others. We see material things, don't we? What's in the space, we don't see. We don't see microbes, we don't see cells, we don't see atoms. We don't see so many things which are there. We don't see the energy which has generated all of this. We don't see the light which radiates all this manifestation. But yeah, it is there. So how to come to see all of this? Is it invisible? And Kabir Sahib here says, the Guru gives you what's invisible. So with these two eyes of ours, we just see the material world. But beside these two physical eyes, we have also a third eye, which is the mystical eye, spiritual eye, by which we can see beyond this purely physical world. But this third eye needs to be opened. For most of us, it's just locked down, closed. So we don't see 95%, I can say, of the reality. Because this physicality which we see with these eyes is just the very end of the manifestation of the reality. These are like images that are projected on the screen of existence by this divine light. So we see the images, but we don't see the light that projects them. So, to become a full, complete human being, we have to learn how to see this reality. Otherwise, we're just nothing. We don't understand anything of anything. We may be so very well knowledgeable, having read libraries, but yet we are confined to this purely physical existence. We don't see anything of what's behind this. What's deep inside of us and of the all of existence. So for this we need to open this so-called third eye. And here the song says that the Guru gives you what's invisible. It means it opens your third eye, by which you can see what's invisible. And the song says also the Guru tells you good things. That's wisdom. Coming to know the reality, the truth of existence. This is the good side of it. This is what makes us broad human beings. That go beyond the, what? The culture in which we are born. Religion in which we are born. The knowledge we acquire through our reading and studying. So this is good, but eventually becomes a cage out of which we cannot go. And we keep saying the same things, thinking the same things more or less all our life. We are encaged in conventions, points of view, beliefs, belief systems, habits, which are just automatic. We don't have any control over them. So we need to be free to be choosing our life, but we don't choose anything. It's our habits that choose for us. So do we want to be through this existence, through this life of ours? Machines that keep repeating automatically always the same things? Compulsory habits over which we have no control, and we keep saying the same things all the time. We keep falling into the same traps all the time. Being enslaved by lust, anger, greed, attachments of all sorts, egoism, vanity, arrogance. So who are we? What are we? What's our value? Do we have any control over this? If we have it, well and good. If we don't, then we are poor human beings. No matter how important, how powerful, how rich you are, yet you are a miserable human being who doesn't have control over himself, herself, over the situations of his or life. They keep happening, and we can't change them. Because we can't change our thoughts. Because we have no control over our thoughts. So why to do a spiritual practice? You do a spiritual practice to become the master of yourself. And I can say this because I began doing a spiritual practice 53 years ago, and I keep doing it every day. Because that's what allows me to direct my life the way I want. Otherwise, I'm just pushed by impulses, desires, over which I have no control. Instincts. And I do not like to be that way. I want to choose my life according to my wisdom. So how did I get into this? Why I became interested into this? As a young boy, I had this instinct of coming to know what's the truth of existence. What's the purpose of life? I wanted to do something good with my life, not just live, for a few pleasure, much suffering, and then die. So when you have this inclination, you try according to the means you have at your disposal to understand what's good to be done in order to improve your life and improve maybe the life of society. I felt this need always to improve my life and improve the society also. So as a young boy, I thought politics would be very good to change the society, to improve the society. But then once you get into it, you see that's terrible. Just a fight, a war. Everyone is convinced to have the formula, to change the society. But no one is able to change the society because they're not able to change themselves, because they're also victims of themselves. And all these ideologies are just convictions which eventually, when you try to apply them, they do not work. Because you are a mess yourself. So how can what you do any good if you are a mess yourself? Words and convictions, ideas do not change anything. It's the quality of your being that changes something. So what to do? Once you get into politics, you become very disappointed. It's just a fight for power. Then what? You go into a crisis. Eventually, once you try everything and nothing works, what you do? You go into a crisis. So I went into a crisis, very desperate. I didn't like myself. I didn't like the way I lived. I would like to be different, but I was not able. Moreover, I didn't have any good example among the people I knew and the situations I knew. So when you go into a crisis, that's a great blessing. That's the only chance to change something in your life, if you're lucky enough. But I was very lucky, because when I went to a crisis, then something wonderful happened to me. When I was very despaired, and I realized that I was just controlled by my thoughts, by my emotions, and I had no power over them whatsoever. They would just push me into states of beings which I didn't like. Then you wonder, how do I get out of this? How do I find a way to find my peace? So once in a state of desperation like this, in which I found a way out, and I felt very, very much sinking into these dark emotions. Then I began repeating something in my mind, just naturally. I remember something nice, which was just a phrase, sentence. Life is governed by the law of love. Love is what moves everything in the universe. Love is the way. So I began repeating this sentence like a mantra, without knowing what a mantra was. And then at some point I touched something within myself, like a spring, which projected me into a state of consciousness, which was just absolutely wonderful. It was like having a magnifying lens by which I could see life just as it is. Not darkened by my emotions, by my thoughts. It was in an absolute thoughtless state. In a state of incredible bliss, incredible clarity, in which everything I thought to be important up to that point lost any meaning. And anything which I didn't consider became so prominent. And the most prominent thing was that the purpose of life is to know the truth of existence. And that anyway, the purpose of my life was to know what the truth of existence is. So they changed my life completely. So I used to live in Milan at the time, northern Italy. So I went in a bookshop, and I bought some 13 books on yoga, meditation, Buddhism, mystic Christianity, and I began studying these books. Why? Because I wanted to reproduce that experience which I had, because it was the most extraordinary experience of my life. So I began reading these books, and whenever I found a meditation technique explained in these books, I tried to apply it. And I went on for many, many months like this, reading, trying to meditate, and bring back again that experience. I would have given my life to be in that state of consciousness. And I was 19 years old. This was in 1972. So I went on for almost 1 year doing this intense spiritual practice. Changing my life completely. I became a vegetarian. I gave up anything which could be, a desire that would take me away from this purpose, which is from this direction which I wanted to take. I became very austere. So then eventually, through my readings, I became interested going to India because I was reading some books about yoga by Sri Aurobindo, the synthesis of yoga. And I thought that I should go to India and find a guru. Find somebody who would teach me how to get back that experience. Because by myself, I got close to it sometimes, but not quite the same. So in March 1973, I took this long trip from Milan and went to India via land, 9,000 kilometers. So I used to live in Milan. I went South Italy, I took the boat, I went to Greece, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. Took a month. And I was very lucky. After a week I was in India, somebody gave me the address of a master. He told me, this is a very good master. He said, there are so many fake masters here in India. We're just looking for money. But you go to this one, he's not looking for money. He just gives it out free, whatever he gives out, his teachings and everything. So I was in Rishikesh, which is in northern India. I went to Dehradun, where this master was supposed to be living. And this trip I took from Rishikesh to Dehradun, which is 45 kilometers more or less, really transformed me completely. I started off, I was a person with a certain perception of existence, of life, and of myself. And when I reached Dehradun, I had a completely different perception. Something began growing inside of me, a perception of an incredible energy, which put me again into a state of consciousness which was similar to that which I experienced 1 year before, but much more intense. Eventually, I reached the place where this master used to live. He had an ashram somewhere outside Dehradun. And when I got down, I was on a bus. When I got down the bus, I looked up in the sky and I saw like a dome of light covering the whole area. And I felt in such a state of ecstasy and bliss that I thought, where am I? Am I still on this earth or somewhere else, on some other planet? Because I was totally out of myself, into a state of consciousness which I could never thought possible for any human being. So then I went to this ashram. I don't go into the details of what happened when I went there. But I can say that when I stepped into this place, for me it was like entering heaven. So, I didn't know anything about this master. When I left Italy, I didn't even know he existed. And at the time, I didn't speak any English. So I was not converted into anything. I was not charmed by a teaching, by a doctrine, theology, philosophy. I couldn't even talk with this master because I didn't understand him. But I was so caught by this state of consciousness in which I was stepped in, that I could never leave that place and that master. And he was very tough with me in the beginning, very tough. For 2 days continuously, he told me off, just go away. So when you go to a place like this, you would like to be welcomed and treated nicely. But he wanted to put me to test. See if I was really sincere in my intention and in what I wanted. It wasn't like this with everybody. Some people, he was very nice, very welcoming. And then these people would leave and never come back. But with me, it was very tough. And I kept going back. Eventually, he accepted me to stay in his ashram. And he gave me initiation into the path he was teaching. And the very first time I meditated with him, that's where this phenomenon happened of opening the third eye, leaving this body, and going into the light. So when you have an experience like this, you don't need anybody to convince you of anything. You don't need to read any books. You don't need anything. You know by yourself what the reality is. And you know that that's your path, that's your master, and that's the way you have to go. So this was my initiation before I was initiated. You know, let's say the formal type of initiation which any master gives. Because initiation is when you, by the way, you open this inner eye, or this inner eye is open to you. You get out of this body, and you come to know that you are not this body, not because you read it in the books, or because somebody tells you, but because you experience it. And that's the difference between belief and experience. That's the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion wants you to believe something. It's a set of beliefs. Whether you have experienced it of it or not, doesn't matter. You have to believe it. And you don't have to discuss it. It's an axiomatic truth which you have to accept or reject. And I'm not a person who believes anything and who believes anybody. When I was young, I was born in a Catholic family. My mother was very Catholic. But when I was 13 or 14, after going through studying this doctrine and theology with people, of the church, then at some point I began pondering over what they are teaching here. What are they teaching? They teach that there is a God who is omnipotent, the creator of everything, omniscient, does everything. But then comes into play this Satan that takes over and becomes more important than God and rules the whole world and all of humanity. So I saw dichotomy here. God is omniscient, all powerful, or this and that, but then he has no power whatsoever. This Satan comes into play, and so where is this God? I thought, this is madness. Sorry, I don't agree with this. I don't find it logic. Then, you are born once. You have only one chance. And you come in a family of good people, maybe, or you come in a family of criminals. You are born in a situation in which you have no control whatsoever. So you become what you become, a criminal, a good person, an intelligent person, a disabled person, a mad person, a good person, a wise person, according to the circumstances in which you are born. You don't choose it. You find yourself in a certain situation, and you grow accordingly. You have no choice whatsoever. And then at the end of this life, according to this, you end up for eternity into hell, or maybe if you're good, you go to heaven. So I thought, my God, this God is worse than I am. I'm much better, because I wouldn't do something like this. This is criminal. These poor people have no choice. They are born once, and according to the chance they find themselves in, they end up where they end up. So I refuse everything altogether. I became an atheist. Because I always wanted to know things by myself, to discover things by myself. I was not ready to believe anybody. So then when I had that spiritual awakening I mentioned in 1972, then Then that was my experience. I didn't have to believe anybody. I saw reality with my own eyes. And when I went to India and I was initiated by Sankirpal Singh, and I had this wonderful experience, then I know by my own experience, by myself, that we are not this body. We are beings of light. Our true nature is love, light, and consciousness. And consciousness does not depend on the physical body, on this physical brain. It's something totally independent. And it didn't begin with this body and will not end with this body. So we are conscious human beings, a drop of the ocean of all consciousness. And we have to discover ourselves as such, totally independent from this body and from this brain. Because brain does not generate consciousness. Consciousness is an independent element which always existed and always will exist. And it's like the ocean and the waves and the drops. Waves and drops, they are part of the ocean. They are not independent. So once we leave this body, we go back into the ocean of light from which we came. But we can learn this process of leaving the body before we actually die. That's why in the Bible you find, learn to die so that you may begin to live. And when the single eye will be open, then you shall be full of light. So what does it mean? Learn to die so that you may begin to live. It's not an hypothetical something. You have really to learn the process of dying. What happens when you die? This body is finished. Breathing stops, heart beating stops, you don't move anymore. So what do you do when you go into deep meditation? Same thing. The body becomes like a statue. The breathing almost stops, sometimes stops fully. The inner vision opens, and you get out of this body. And where do you go? You go into the light. And what does this light conveys to you? Ecstasy, bliss, beatitude, divine intoxication, which makes you feel absolutely wonderful. And this is what any human being is looking for, most of the time in a distorted way. Why do people like so much to be intoxicated some way? Because that's what we are meant to experience. But instead of divine intoxication, people just experience wine intoxication. But that's an element that we really need and we really want, because that's what we are. If we'll ever have the good luck of having a spiritual awakening, of going deep into meditation, then you will understand that we are intoxicating human beings or spiritual beings. And that on the other side, There is just love, bliss, ecstasy, and joy. It is this mind that darkens our life. These are our thoughts that generate emotions, sensations, which are according to the thoughts we have. So it's not a joke, dear ones. What I'm talking to you is not a joke. It's really the purpose of existence. It's really what we have to do in our life. And if you do it, well and good for us. If you don't do it, bad for us. So we have to choose a certain lifestyle. We have to choose to live a disciplined life. You can't just be carried away by situations, emotions, by anything which happens. We have to be able to give a direction to our life. And we say we have no time for this. We are busy with so many things. You have to find time for this also. You live, you breathe, you eat to feed your body in order to be alive. You find time for this. You work hard to make money, to have a shelter, to have food, clothing. Just for this body. It's all for this body. But this body is just the periphery of our being. There is so much more, which we are, who we are, what we are. Why don't we care for it? So as we find time for this body, for the needs of this body, we should find time for the needs of our inner being also. And for this, we need to do some spiritual practice every day to keep alive the spirit. So we give food to our body and we give food to our soul, consciousness. And what is this food? It's light. But for this we need, discipline. We need to make definite choices in our life and stick to them. It's not that today I don't feel like, so I don't do it. If today you don't feel like, tomorrow again you won't feel like. And then you say, well, tomorrow we'll do it. But that tomorrow never comes. So now, you choose, you decide, and you stick to it. And you never give up. And from time to time you need to go deep into it, very deep. So you go for spiritual retreats, in which you meditate maybe 8, 9, 10 hours per day. And you renew, strengthen this your inner contact. That's what a spiritual person does. From time to time leaves off all these obligations, so-called obligations of life, duties, and goes for a spiritual retreat, meditation retreat. And goes very deep into this in order to reconnect with the deepest side of ourselves. And this is what I've done my whole life. I've had 2 masters in my life. My first master was Sankirpal Singh. I met him in 1973. Then I went back to India again in 1974. And those were the most extraordinary times of my life. Then he left the body. He died. When I met him, he was 79. When he was 80, he left this world. Then I associated with a disciple of his who used to live in the entire desert of Rajasthan. His name was Satguru Singh. He was a very holy man, not so much known in the world. He used to have an ashram which was like, biblical times, really. A mud-made ashram. And we used to have such wonderful, very intense meditation retreats with him. They begin in 10 days of some 9-10 hours of meditation per day. And this went on for 20 years. Every year I went to Rajasthan and have these retreats with him. And in the very beginning, in 1977, when I went to him in the very beginning, he told me, you should start an ashram yourself. You start an ashram, organize a program, and then I come to your place. So when I had some money, I bought a property in Tuscany. I used to live in Milan before. And it was an abandoned old farm in the middle of nowhere, really, with no electricity, no water, no telephone, nothing. And I intended to first rebuild this place, make it nice, and then go to live there. But he told me, no, you go to live there, just as it is now. So I could have said, well, that's very difficult to live there. Situation is very difficult. But then either you obey or disobey. So I choose to obey. And I went to live there for 1 year just by myself. I worked so hard. I rebuilt this house. And in May 1980, he came over for a program for some 5 days. And that's for the first time some Maltese people came to attend this program. Some 15 of them, I think. That's how I came in contact with Malta. So these people took initiation from my master. And then when there were some 6 or 7 more who wanted to be initiated here, so Sanji told me, you go there and give initiation to them. So this is the first time I came to Malta. It was 1980. Later on, this my master came back 3 more times to Italy. Once in 1984, once in 1989, and once in 1996. So in this place, I organized programs for a few hundred people. A lot of work, really, months of work to prepare the place and accommodate all these people. And everything was done just selfless. with no interest whatsoever. My master, when he went to all programs, he never asked for a penny from anybody. It was all given for free. So in this all my life, I've learned how to do this work, just the way they did it, in a selfless way. My retreats are for free. I never ask anything for the spiritual work I do. My interest is not to convince anybody of anything. My interest is in sharing my experience with others. If you find it interesting, if you think that, if it rings a bell, and you understand that what I'm saying, it has some basic truth, then pick it up. If this bell doesn't ring, and doesn't tell you anything meaningful, then throw it in the garbage bin. It doesn't matter really. I don't teach any doctrine. I don't teach any theology. I just teach how to become a real human being, how to make your life meaningful, how to have some experience, a real first-hand experience of your own. As Dori was saying before, my master, Sankirpal Singh, used to say, spirituality, it's a kind of an infection which you pick up from a person who is spiritually infected. It's not doctrine, it's not theology, it's not words. It's spiritual transmission. And I used to say through books, words, talks, lectures, you can give out maximum 1/3 of what spirituality is all about. 2/3 are conveyed through the eyes. So there is no words. There are no words. It's something which we have to catch. If you catch it, well and good. If you don't, then try again and again before, or sooner or later, you will catch it. So I've had incredible many experiences, spiritual experiences in my life. But the most easy and wonderful experiences, they just happen by looking into my master's eyes. Sometimes I would reach the ashram, look into his eyes, and just find myself in a total bliss, spaced out completely. Just with a glance. It didn't happen always. But sometimes it was just amazing. Just a glance, and I found myself in complete ecstasy. So that's how it works. But we have to have the courage and the will to expose ourselves to such situations. We have to want it, first of all. We have to feel the need. And if we don't feel the need, you know what we have to do? We have to pray that this need is given to us. And we have to associate with people who can help us develop this need, this urge. Because we become like the company we keep. And as you think, so you become. So if you want to become a criminal, go and spend time with criminals. You'll definitely become a criminal. If you want to become a holy man, a sage, an enlightened being, then go and spend time with sages, with enlightened beings. That's how it works. So in my life, I choose to spend time with sages, with holy people, with wise people. And that's why I can tell you what I'm telling you. And I can do what I do. Because I learn it completely, throughout. It's my life. And nobody can tell me how things are. No religion, no priest, no pope. Because I know myself how things are. And I've seen the reality from beginning to end, whether you believe it or not. And reality makes you free, makes you a liberated being. So, truly telling, I'm not a religious person. In a way, I'm still an atheist. I believe only in what I see and experience for myself. I don't believe anybody otherwise. I'm not a Hindu. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Sikh. I'm not Italian. I'm not European. I'm not from this earth. I am from the space. I am very happy with my life. I live in a wonderful place. I have no obligations towards anybody, but I like to serve people, so that's my obligation. I've had all the loves which a man can have in his life. I had a family, daughter. I work to make my living. I never depended on anybody. And in my ashram, there is so much to be done. Most of it, I do it by myself. I'm not the guru who sits there, blessing people and doing nothing and capable of doing nothing. Because that's how most of these gurus are. Capable of doing nothing. Just talking. Nonsense. Most of the time. But in my place, there is so much work to be done, and I do it. I am a man who knows how to use this body, how to use this mind, and how to use my attention. You know, in India, I've seen gurus who, for everything they need somebody to do it. They are capable of doing nothing. I'm not enchanted by anybody. I've been in India 35 times. I know India better than I know Europe. And I know the spiritual reality of India better than my pockets. So my invitation is this: make your own experience, become the master of yourself. Don't be a puppet in the hands of situations and impulses and what life brings in. Be a strong human being. Make your life as you would like it to be. So to end this meeting, I'm going to sing some other songs, because it's my passion. I am kind of a singer, you know. I'm a poet, a singer, a musician somehow. And that's my method. That's my tool. For me, a person has to be able to do thousands of things. Be competent in everything. So I can build a house. I can make door and windows for that house. I can be a poet, I can be a musician, a singer, writer. I can clean a house. I can wash the toilet. Everything. I can grow my vegetables. I have 300 olive trees in my farm. I take care of all of them. It's such a vast land, and yet it's so well taken care of. Once an Indian friend of mine came there. He was a doctor, an Ayurvedic doctor, because he'd been also an Ayurvedic therapist, by the way. That's what I've done to make my living. So once I invited an Ayurvedic doctor from India, from Pune, to my place. And I showed him all the place. And then he told me, who's working here to keep this place this way? I said, myself. That's it. So in India would be needed 10 people to keep this place the way you keep it. So that's what I am. A very practical man. That's all. I have developed all these things by working very hard and by never postponing to tomorrow what I could do today. Because one of the messages of these songs which I sang before by Kabir, Guru Samaya Nadat, is this: what you want to do tomorrow, do it today. And what you want to do today, just do it now. That's the way of living life. But we keep postponing always, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow will be always another tomorrow. So now I'm going to sing one of my songs. It's in Italian. And then maybe we have a bit of meditation, because we keep talking about meditation, we never meditate. And then if you have any question, you can ask. So you can close your eyes and try to listen. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satguru. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satsang. Vola, 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 di terra e d'acqua più non siamo, l'etere e l'aria ci han conquistato, sottile e leggero è il nostro stato, da quando il suo sguardo clemente su noi s'è posato. Di terra e d'acqua più non siamo, l'etere e l'aria ci han conquistato, sottile e leggero è il nostro stato, da quando il suo sguardo clemente su noi s'è posato. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satsang. Vola, 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 vola. Oh, che bello essere giunti a questo stato, dopo per lungo il deserto aver attraversato, di sete e calura più non ne potevamo, per sorgenti, fiumi e verde smaniavamo. Oh, che bello essere giunti a questo stato, dopo per lungo il deserto aver attraversato, di sete e calura più non ne potevamo, per sorgenti, fiumi e verde smaniavamo. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satsang. Vola, 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 in giardini e roseti scavati nell'animo vogliamo sostare, fino a sazietà di questa bontà ci vogliamo colmare, con estrema gratitudine ai suoi piedi ci vogliamo prostrare, il nostro ego sulla sua soglia vogliamo posare, in giardini e roseti scavati nell'animo vogliamo sostare fino a sazietà di questa bontà, ci vogliamo colmare con estrema gratitudine ai suoi piedi, ci vogliamo prostrare il nostro ego sulla sua soglia, vogliamo posare. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satguru, vola, 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 vola. Di noi stessi e dei nostri guai ci vogliamo dimenticare, la nostra vita passata nell'oblio vogliamo affossare, solo la gloria del risveglio vogliamo ricordare, per proteggere questa conquista la vita siamo pronti a dare. Di noi stessi e dei nostri guai ci vogliamo dimenticare, la nostra vita passata nell'oblio vogliamo affossare, solo la gloria del risveglio vogliamo ricordare, per proteggere questa conquista la vita siamo pronti a dare. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satsang, vola, 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 vola. Dio eterno, per te vogliamo smaniare, nel tuo assiduo ricordo la mente vogliamo annientare, nel mare di luce splendente vogliamo affogare, il nirvikalpa samadhi vogliamo realizzare. Dio eterno, per te vogliamo smaniare, nel tuo assiduo ricordo la mente vogliamo annientare, nel mare di luce splendente vogliamo affogare, il nirvikalpa samadhi vogliamo realizzare. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satsang, vola, 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 vola. Assenza di me, presenza di te, vogliamo praticare, non più io, solo Dio, è il nostro comune vivere, nella pace suprema è il nostro consueto stare, la bellezza divina dal nostro viso vogliamo irradiare. Assenza di me, presenza di te, vogliamo praticare, non più io, solo Dio, è il nostro comune vivere, nella pace suprema è il nostro consueto stare, la bellezza divina dal nostro viso vogliamo irradiare. Vola, 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 animo mio, sulle ali soavi del Nam, fino a Satsang, vola, 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 vola. Satsang, vola, 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 vola. So the song says, fly, fly, my soul fly, on these sweet wings of Nam, which is the light, up to Satguru, which is the region of truth, fly. So this is an invitation to take this inner flight. They will take us from the human to the divine. And this is something that every human being can do. It is not the property of any, or the capacity of any race, any nationality, any religion. It's a birthright for every human being. We can all take this flight if we want it. And in order to take this flight, we have to go within ourselves. That means we have to withdraw our attention completely from all outside. We have to withdraw our attention from this physical body as well, which we live in a state of peace, relaxed, by giving up any tension, any rigidity. Just be at peace. We are not this body. We are the indwellers of this body. We are consciousness, soul, spirit. And this consciousness has the capacity to disengage, withdraw from this physical body. Basically, we are attention. Attention is not a faculty of the brain or of the mind. It's a faculty of the consciousness. The more we are attentive, the more we are conscious. The less we are attentive, the less we are conscious. So with the attention, let's look steadily, minutely, in the middle of what we see in front of our forehead. We may just see a dark veil, but we see something. This is the inner eye that sees, is the third eye. So we have to keep looking in the middle of what we see with full attention. With full concentration. And at the same time, mentally, we may repeat a mantra. If you're used to repeat any mantra, you're welcome. Otherwise, you may repeat Satnam Radha Swami. So we have these two activities. One of looking steadily in the center, the other one of slowly repeating the mantra. This way, the mind becomes silent. And if you're able to keep this condition for just a few minutes, then the inner vision opens. The darkness disappears, and we begin seeing waves of light of different colors. Which may come as rolling waves or whirling waves. Whichever way they come, we keep staring in the center. Keep repeating the mantra. And we try to go very deep. So let's keep meditating like this for a while. And see what happens. Om Namo Savan. Om Namo Savan. Om Namo Savan. Om Namo Savan. Savan Namao. Savan Namao. Savan Namao. Savan Namao. Om Namo Kirpale. Om Namo Kirpal. Om Namo Kirpale. Om Namo Kirpale. Kirpale Namao. Kirpale Namao. Kirpale Namao. Kirpale Namao. Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Om Namo Savana, Om Namo Savana, Om Namo Om Namo Savana, Savana Namao, Savana Namao, Savana Namao, Savana Namao, Om Namo Kirpala, Om Namo Kirpala, Om Namo Kirpala, Om Namo Kirpala, Kirpala Namao, Kirpala Namao, Kirpala Namao, Kirpala Namao, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Om Namo Savana, Om Namo Savana, Om Namo Savana, Om Namo Savana, Savana Namao, Savana Namao, Savana Namao, Savana Namao, Om Namo Kirpala, Om Namo Kirpala, Om Namo Kirpala, Om Namo Kirpala, Kirpala Namao, Kirpala Namao, Kirpala Namao, Kirpala Namao, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Om Namo Ajaibo, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, Ajaibo Namao, So if any of you wants to ask anything or say anything, you're welcome.
I have a question. When we meditate, if we are lucky enough to reach that state that you talked about, which is outside, going outside of our body, which is what we are really trying to do and so difficult to get to. What in fact draws us back to our body? Because if we want to stay and reach that state of perfect happiness, why do we come back? Why do we say to ourselves, you can't stay there, you have to come back?
There is, a gravity force in the air, in the outside, and there is a gravity force inside also. So until we eventually die and definitely leave this body, even if you're able to get out of the body and go into the light, still there is a silver cord, there is a link which keeps us bound to the body. So at some point we have to come back. So according to the experience we are meant to have, according to the intensity, the duration of the experience, we can be there for a few hours, few days.
Well, this is very frightening, so...
Frightening?
Yes, it is.
To be outside for a few days?
Yes.
No, it's not. It's pure bliss. If one has the good, I know people who have been in a state of samadhi for 2-3 days. If you read the biography of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, at some point he had this nirvikalpa samadhi, so-called, means a state in which you really merge with the absolute. And he stayed in that condition for 6 months. He would come back sometimes slightly to the body. There was a person giving him some food, pushing some food into his mouth just to keep him alive, and then out again. And he went on like this for 6 months.
Wow. But something pulls him back.
And at some point, of course, he had a work to do in this world. So once you have an experience like this, normally you are used to convey this experience to others. And so this, let's say, divine power takes you back into the body, into this physical consciousness again, so that you can share this experience with others and give away, give a hope to others.
How do you make the jump from seeing the light, feeling the warmth and the ecstasy, and going through it? Because I feel like I've got there where I've been there for a couple of seconds, maybe I see it, I feel like a sleeve of warmth and of light surrounding me, and I want to stay, and yet then I'm like, come back, and I'm like, oh God, I want to go again. How do you jump into it?
Well, for some people it's natural, and usually it is because they've done it already in previous lifetimes. But for most of the human beings, it's an attempt. You have a let's say, a taste of it.
Yeah.
And then if it really catches you, Like I said, in 1972, I had this experience. And then I wanted it so much that I went on for months and months, reading books, meditating, and trying everything to reach there. So according to the intensity of the experience you have, then you will have an impulse inside, a need to get back to it. And according to the intensity, consequently, is the need.
Yeah.
And how you do it? You go for spiritual retreats. Yeah. In which maybe for a week, you have 7, 8, 9 hours meditation per day, and then the door opens, and you can stay there more and more.
And when you do it, you're breathing, because when I feel like it's happening to me, I end up realizing I'm holding my breath. Is that normal, or is?
Well, you shouldn't hold it, but it should happen naturally, that the breathing almost stops. Because the mental and physical activities, they just reduce so much that you don't need so much oxygen, so much air in order to keep living. So once you go in a deep state of samadhi, the breathing almost stops, becomes very light and very rare.
And the other thing I found is when I'm in what I call a trance, I realize I don't stay sitting up. I'm always like doing something. And I'm doing on the floor, and I wake up and I'm like, I've got my head over my knee, and I'm like this, and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing?
Well, usually the body follows the movement of the soul inside, So if it goes upwards, you find yourself with your neck backwards completely, or if it goes on the side, you can find yourself on the side.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends on how you get out, or how you get into it. Then the body follows. That's how it goes.
That's really crazy. Okay, that's really crazy. I've had some crazy.
First of all, thank you for coming to Malta. This is my first time that I'm here. And what I would like to ask you is, after having so much experience, tasting and living the beauty of life, mostly, I know that with wisdom you can get to the state and you have a special feeling. I've been there, I think, multiple times myself. What I struggle with is, and maybe you can give us some of your wisdom, when you find someone else who is suffering, and you maybe have found some way how to get to bliss, and you want to share it to this person so that they stop suffering.
Yes.
But you have to understand that every person has the right to live his life the way he wants.
Sure.
You cannot force it.
No.
Even if they are suffering. So you mentioned if you want to become a sage, you should be around sages, and if you become a criminal, you go there.
Yes.
So if you want to live your life as a sage, you cannot force the criminal to become a sage. It's your life, you choose it.
Yes.
But they choose it also.
Yes.
But sometimes you see some people suffering,
Yes.
because they made certain choices.
Yes.
And it's obviously taking them into the opposite direction.
Yes.
To enlightenment. So you feel like a sense of duty to help out.
Yes.
But at the same time you say, maybe I should not force myself,
Yes.
And then inside of you have this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can't handle it. You just, start kind of like giving someone something that he has not asked for.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not the right thing to do, I think.
It's not the right way.
It's not the right way.
No.
But if you don't do it, then you end up feeling like guilty because you know the answer and you did not tell it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a skill that we learn also, how to do it. Like everything, conveying this message, let's say, this possibility to others, it's also a skill that you learn. If I if I look back at myself, you know, when I first had these wonderful experiences in the beginning, I also had this impulse of telling everybody, you know, oh my God, there is this possibility. Why do you live a miserable life like this? But it didn't work really, you know. Sometimes I told things to people and then they became my enemies, you know, really. Because they feel some kind of jealousy, some kind of envy, or they don't want to believe you. And if you meet them next time, they won't look into your face. So, you know, by and by, through these 53 years of being on this path, I learned how to do it. And most of the time, you have to understand the person. You have to have this capacity, you know, of understand to whom you can tell, to whom you can't tell, how much you can tell, the way you have to tell, this capacity of stimulating the interest, you know, without hurting the feeling of the other. It's a capacity that we develop, you know, like anything in life.
But if the other person doesn't want to know, you know, do you feel guilt inside?
No, you don't have to.
A sense of guilt that you have to tell them?
No, come on, you don't have to. This is not something you have to impose on anybody. It's a...
If you feel it, what do you do then? If you feel this duty, what do you do with it? How do you stop it?
Well, learn to control it, like so many other things in life. And try to understand what is the case, what is the person that can take the message, and when it's not. So at this point in my life, I talk only to people who are interested and ready to listen. Sometimes I've gone to give lectures at places, and I look to the people, I see there is no interest in them, so I get up and go away. That's what I do. I say, sorry, nobody here is ready to listen to what I have to say, so best wishes to you, and I just go. So.
One more question, I might sound, oops, sorry.
No.
You said at the beginning that everything is dictated by love. Once you leave your body, once you become energy, once you're, well, actually two questions. First, you said this, the energy, your soul, maybe stays together. Does it, or does it just become part of every other living, you know, every other energy and or electricity that's out there? And second, if it's part of everything, there is no emotion attached to it. It's just a pure place of absolute contentedness and acceptance and wonder. Can you explain? Is it love, or is it just?
Well, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. And you know, we all have a peculiar personality of our own, peculiar way of being, you know. And also the experience that we have of the divine is very much according to our nature. So there are not two people who experience contact with the divine in the same way. If you read of, you know, stories of people going into samadhi, having these very divine experiences, there is no one which is quite the same to the other one. If you listen to people who have these near to death experiences, there is no one who has the same experience as they might be similar, but never the same. Because somehow the divine respects our way of being, and according to the way we are, we end up in a certain condition. And anyway, you know, once we reach there, we can be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of time and space, you can be anywhere in time. You can be anywhere in time, and you can be anywhere in the universe.
Yeah.
In any place. And you can be everything, and you can be yourself.
Yeah.
You can merge totally in the divine, and you can come back to your own
You're in,
person.
Original soul.
Yes.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's lovely.
I bet there's spaghetti over here.
Um,
I bet there's spaghetti and it's over here.
So obviously you believe in aliens.
In angels?
Well, in angels for sure.
I believe in everything and in nothing.
Yeah, exactly as you said.
You see, if you talk with a Hindu person, he will tell you, sure you believe in Shiva, or you believe in Vishnu, or you believe in Brahma, or Kali, or Durga, anybody, no? That they believe in. For their culture, for their religion, it's a reality. That's how the divine manifests to them. If you talk to a Sikh, he will tell you the truth. God is the truth. Guru Nanak used to call the truth God, Satnam or Sachkhand.
Yeah.
That means just truth. Truth is your name. If you talk to a Christian, he will tell you, then it will be Mary, or it will be Jesus. If you talk to a Jew, it will be different again. So these are all mentalities, you know. This is culture, which shapes your psyche in a certain way. So God may manifest to us in which way we may recognize. Maybe angels, maybe Shiva, maybe Jesus, maybe anything. So everything is possible.
So you might have met in your world, you've been out of your body, you've met other beings.
You know, I have two masters. And to me, the divine manifests in the form of my masters.
Oh, that's beautiful. So you get to see them again.
Yes. So that's what guides me. That's what talks through me. These are my gurus.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your experience and the story. It was really wonderful to hear tonight. A comment and a question, just a comment for this gentleman. It could also be, you talked about a disadvantaged person, you're trying to help them, but they could have karma, their own karma that they come here with, and they have to work on, and we can't interfere with that path that they have to work on their karma. So it's not right, if that's the right word to use, for us to be interfering with the path that they have to follow, and they have to work on karma themselves. And the question is, we talked about entering the light, you open your third eye and you go to the light. What happens then? You're in the light. What happens? Are you learning things? Are you going to another plane, the astral plane, the causal plane, the mental plane? What was happening?
Well, first of all, once you get into the light, you're not in this physical plane anymore. You're at least in the astral plane or in the causal plane. Depends how deep and bright the light is, you know. And where do you go? You go there where you can reach. Normally, you know, we all have a certain potential, and according to our potential, we may go deep to a certain degree, deeply into the light. And also, as I said, the experience lasts as much as we can hold it, because it is really very much according to our potential. My master used to say, the problem is not with the giver, the problem is with the receiver. So according to our potential, we may experience, because if it is too much, we may be hurt by the light, you know. We have to get used to it by and by. So it's a process. That's why it's needed to sometimes go into very intense meditation retreats, because then you get used to it, you know, and you go deeper and deeper into it. So it's a lifetime process, which you have to develop. Like everything, you know, one wants to develop muscles, it goes for training, and like this, it does develop muscles. And also we need to develop these spiritual muscles.
Is there a reason why you don't use music when you sing your songs? It's just voice?
Well, when I am in these kind of situations, you know, then you need musical instruments, becomes very complicated. So I just sing cappella like this, you know, without any music. But when I am at home and during our retreats, especially in the evening, usually I give a concert with some musical instrument. I usually use Indian instruments like sitar or tampura, tablas. So we have a small band, and when we have these retreats, we use also musical instruments, yes.
For those of us who have got no musical talent at all, and no rhythm and no tone, I mean, there's plenty of ways to increase the energy, the positive energy around us. Are there any other ways that you might be able to enlighten us with?
Well, I mean, you know, if you want to learn how to sing, go and study with somebody who teaches singing. And, well, you need to practice a lot, and you need to learn also, like everything. Singing is a very complex skill that you need to learn from somebody who knows it. Like music, you go and study with somebody who knows music. So this I've been practicing my whole life, you know. It's over 50 years now of my life, and that's how you become skilled into it.
So you couldn't sing like this when you were 20?
No, not at the least.
Okay. It's not a family.
I keep learning even now. But it's a very good tool, you know, to develop an energy, an atmosphere, and then it makes easier to go deep into meditation. So whenever I do my practice, I always begin with 2-3 songs, and then I go into meditation.
The chakra, sounds, they help as well, I guess, with like the om and the
Definitely.
The vibrations.
Definitely. To open them up, you know.
That just about I can do. Just about.
You come and attend a retreat with us sometimes if you wish, and you see what happens.
And then you'll be like, yeah, you were right, you can't sing.
You're asking, you know, this sort of the rain, and suddenly, ooh, it's raining.
Yeah. Okay, dear ones, it's been a pleasure spending time with you. I hope it has been meaningful, pleasant. You enjoyed it. That's all we want. We don't want anything else. I enjoy my life making people feel good. In my therapies, which I've done for so many people and for so many years, my pleasure was to make people feel blissful. And through my spiritual practice and these lectures which I give sometimes and my retreats, my purpose is to help people feeling good, improve the quality of their life. That's all. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being present, sharing your time with us.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you again.
Namaste.
Namaste.